Hello everybody, my name is Sophie and welcome back to another video. If there's one thing I hate, it's bad books. If there's one thing I love, it's bad shows. I've never had the urge after like watching a show or watching a movie to go to the source material and read the book because I've already seen the movie. Sorry. Trying to be a different person. I'm trying not to swear so much. I remember when I went to see the City of Bones movie with Lily Collins in cinema. Yes, I'm an OG. And I really liked the movie because, you know, I was obsessed with YA and everything, like those kind of movies, those kind of books at the time. But my mom picked us up after the movies and my friend was saying that she had read the books and that she had them at home. And I was like, oh, can I like take it, like lend it from you and read it? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, then just give me the second one. I already know about the first one, give me the second one. She gave me the first one. She was like, I'm not gonna give you the second book, you have to read the first book first. Even if you watch the movie, it doesn't count. And now we're not friends anymore. With this show, The Summer I Turned Pretty, that's currently airing as I'm filming this. What? I, of course, keep getting fed all different kinds of things by the algorithm on every app that I'm on about the show. And the amazing feature on TikTok where you can post pictures in the comments has truly not enlightened me. How do you say, like, made me happy. I love when people post pictures in the comments on the TikToks. And then sometimes when people were talking about the show, they would say, oh, in the book it's like this and this, and post a screenshot of the passage from the book. And every time I read it, I was like, is that for real? Or are they making a joke? Like, is this really the source material? Just because it was so bad. Every time I saw it, I was like, what the fuck is this? Lo and behold, I sat down to read the book, the first one, and it's complete ass. I was kind of in a inner turmoil. I have not filmed the video in so long, I have not spoken English. I'm truly forgetting my entire vocabulary. I'm so sorry. I was just trying to reason with myself because this is a middle grade novel. This is not considered young adult. But then again, like, where do you draw the line between young adult and middle grade? I'm not sure. And I skipped the phase. I never read middle grade novels in my life. I read when I was younger and then I started reading young adult. Well, I went straight to the porn. I'm gonna be honest, like I just skipped that phase. So this was my first middle grade experience, I would say. And I just don't believe in my heart that they're all written like this because this is stupid. And I feel like, I mean, the main character, Belly, have you even watched the show? Do you even know what I'm talking about? We'll talk about it in a second. The main character is called Belly, or Isabel, but everyone calls her Belly. And she is 15 in the books, turning 16 in the first book. She's turning 16. I'm not really sure if it was like an intentional writing choice is what I'm trying to say by Jenny Han, where she was like, I'm gonna write it this way and this weird like prose wise because it's for children or people who are like peoples who are like 12 or something. But it was so simple. She barely used any adjectives. So many unnecessary commas and repetitions where I just, like, I'm at a point where I just think Jenny Han can write. Because I've heard other people say, like, none of her writing is good. And I can't be the judge of that because I've only read one book. I can just be the judge that this book is badly written. It's also barely 300 pages. It's like 200 something. So there's a 2 in front of it, definitely. And how much content can you put in a book that's not even 300 pages? None. There's no plot in the entire book. If you're trying to get to, like, a reading goal for the year, I would recommend you read these books. You're gonna get there then. The Summer I Turned Pretty is originally a trilogy by author Jenny Han. Who is Jenny Han? Ugh, if only I knew. At the end of the book, there were like no acknowledgements or anything. It just said she got her master's in children's writing from whatever university she went to, and I was like, okay, that's all I gotta know. The first book in this series was published in 2009. So you have to give it some grace when they start using the R slur. Second one in 2010, third one in 2011. And the trilogy, I think, became so popular. I've been trying to reason, like, with myself after finishing it. Trying to find a reason. Because maybe Jenny Han was writing these books for children who usually wouldn't read these tropes. Like it's a very simple book, very like fundamental, rudimentary, I don't know any words. Very easy to understand. And maybe in that age demographic you weren't getting tropes like love triangle or fake dating like in her other book. And so maybe that's what made them so popular, because otherwise I can't explain it to myself, because they're really bad. This one's really bad. I only read this one. As we all know, we also have To All the Boys I've Loved Before, which is another one of Jenny Han's series that was turned into a movie, actually. 3 movies, actually, and this is a show. I looked it up, and Lionsgate, who was in everyone's business in 2013, they, in 2013, tried, or I think acquired the rights for a potential TV adaptation of The Summer I Turned Pretty, but it didn't start rolling until 2021 with Amazon. It's on Amazon Prime. Jenny Han is the creator of the books. Obviously, she's also an executive producer, a co-showrunner, and a writer of the show. So she's heavily involved in the process of turning her own books into like visual media. I think this is good or not, I'm not sure. I just hope that she can like, or maybe, what do I mean? I hope she's in the middle of it. It's done. It's filmed. Is trying to remedy the mistakes of the book she's written, because realistically, the first book that I read, why do I keep, you get it, right? I only read the first book, that's what we're talking about, is not close to the first season of the show at all. There are certain scenes where you're like, oh yeah, that was in the show. Or when I was reading, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that was in the show. But they kind of took the characters and took the baseline of the story and just turned it into something more fleshed out. Because again, this book is under 300 pages. The characters don't use any adjectives, and I don't know what anyone does or who anyone is, realistically, in this. Like, if I had just read this book without the show, I would be like, is this a textbook? This is a textbook. How much this is to Jenny Han's credit that the show is so different from the book, of course, I don't know. The show is definitely better than the book. I don't know who scouted these books. I don't know how To All the Boys I've Loved Before reads, if it's similar to this. Whoever saw the potential in that needs a kiss on the forehead. Because, like, how the fuck did you do that? Of course, The Summer I Turned Pretty is wildly successful. The 3rd season is airing as I'm filming this. So I just thought, why not give it a shot? Why not see if the writing that I see on TikTok in the comment section specifically is truly what is in the book, or if this is like just a bad paragraph that they're screenshotting. It's not. The entire book is written like that. I mean, if you read this in 2009 and you were like 13 years old, then I would give you grace and would say, yeah, you love this. I get it. Keep loving it. Me reading this at 24 and 25, I wouldn't even give this to my child to read. I would be like, you read some Lord of the Rings. I think that in the sense of like contents of the book, this review is going to be very short because there is nothing to say about it. The premise is this. And you have to imagine that I was debating whether I should read God of Ruin or whatever. I don't remember actually what book I wanted to read. It was one of the God of something books first, or this first. Because I'm gonna read the other one next. I don't know if this was the right choice. The premise is this. We have our main character, her name is Isabel Conklin. Is it even in the book? I don't know. I just know from the show, because the book honestly says the name Isabel like 3 times, and that is her name. That is her first name, but everyone calls her Belly. So you don't get to know that her name is Isabel until like 30% into the book, which is crazy in my opinion. Her brother, and her mother go to a beach summer house every summer. They meet there with the mother's best friend and her 2 sons, Jeremiah and Conrad. Jeremiah is the goofy one. He's the one where like the actor is a little weird, arguably, allegedly a little weird. Is the goofy one in the books, but he's also a little weird in real life. But that has nothing to do with this book. But I think he's a little weird. And he is the goofy brother. He's the younger one. He is goofy. That's the word they keep describing him as. So I don't know any other words. And then the older brother is Conrad, and he's mysterious and dark. I think there was a 4th dark in that quote. That was a direct quote from the book. So that's how you can envision him. However, that does not mean he is black. He is very white with a tan. One of the differences between the show and the books is that the main character in the books is white, whereas in the show she's Asian. And people have said that also with The Summer I Turned Pretty, the main character, was she white in the books? I don't know, because I didn't read it. I don't know why I'm talking about it. It is understood that Jenny Han is the one who pushed, now that they were being turned into visual media, that the main characters would be Asian or Wasian at least, as she is herself. So that is nice for that representation, because we don't get any of that representation in the books. She has a crush on a character that also appears in the show. In the show he's white, in the book he is half Japanese, and that's like no vocal point at all. Like, especially if you're, I mean, it wasn't as marketable back then. I imagine 2009 people were like, Asians? We want a white girl. It's not funny. So she's taking this liberty with the show to push more for Asian actresses, Asian actresses, to portray her characters, which I think is a step in the right direction. However, if you have not watched the show, or if you have watched the show, the heritage of the characters and their ethnicity is not important to the story at all, which I think is like sad. Like, it's a great opportunity to put it out there more, and they're just like, oppa. That's one line in like the last season. I don't remember which episode, but I was like, what the fuck did he just say? Why the fuck did he say that? Because they're supposed to be Korean. They go to this beach house every summer to meet with the other family. There are no husbands allowed. Arguably, Belly's mother is divorced, and the boy's mother, her name is Susanna, she is getting a divorce and she has cancer. Get well soon. She's not going to. The boys are called Fisher. Why am I having such a hard time explaining this? I feel like I'm just talking in circles. The Fishers, they have a lot of money, and Belly's family is broke. So that's not really good. You're asking me what is the plot of the book? That's the premise. What's the plot? I don't know, guys. I'm actually not sure. Belly, of course, has a crush on Conrad because he's dark, 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 dark. But I wouldn't even say that her being interested in Conrad is like the plot of the story, because I would say that there is no plot of the story. It's just like a summer. We're following her summer, and then not really, because all the important scenes just happen off page, and so you don't really know what anyone's like. You just have to trust Belly when she's like, oh, Jeremiah is so goofy. You're like, okay. When? No, when he's on page. I just think that the structure of the story was super messy and uncoordinated, and it was not fleshed out, and the things that were fleshed out were like the wrong parts. So I think the entire book was ass, and I'm not gonna give it any grace. I decided, now that I've been talking about it, I'm not gonna give it any grace. Some lines I'm just gonna read out and maybe leave uncommented, just to show you the quality of writing that I endured for 250 pages. I sang even louder, which woke up my mother, and she started to sing too. We both had terrible voices, and Stephen shook his head in his disgusted Stephen way. She woke up and immediately started singing. Like, immediately, like, without a second to breathe. Okay. Stephen elbowed me. Are you thinking about Conrad? He asked mockingly. For once the answer was no. No, I snapped. Okay. We already know the answer is no. You just told us in your inner monologue. And either say it out loud or say it internally. Why do we have... She doubles things so often. Is it for more dramatic effect? Is this like a stylistic device she's trying to utilize? Because it's not hitting home. It's not hitting at home. Oh my god, I was lying. It's only 3 darks. I'm so sorry. Conrad was the older one by 1.5 years. He was dark, dark, dark. I'm so sorry. Completely unattainable, unavailable. He had a smirky kind of mouth, and I always found myself staring at it. Smirky mouths make you want to kiss them, to smooth them out and kiss the smirkiness away. Shut up. Oh my god. What the fuck did I just read? Why did you just repeat what you just said, but in a different way? To underline, okay, you're gonna come at me, It's not working. Is it hitting home for you? Is it at your door? I don't think so. Also, I don't really understand why she's into Conrad. Obviously because he's dark and he's mysterious. And she's trying to be like, oh, well, he's always taken care of me and he's always been like, just so like sexy. I didn't see none of that. Conrad was 18 now. He just had a birthday. A birthday? Do you have multiple? It was his birth. He just had a birthday? I don't like that. My dad said it matched my eyes. I smeared some strawberry frosting lip gloss on my lips and tucked the tube into my pocket for later, in case I needed to reapply. Girl, I know. Why else would you put it in your pocket? To donate it? What the fuck? I haven't told you anything that's happening because nothing is happening in this book. Nothing happens in the entire book. We kind of skip in between current time and flashbacks at different ages. It's like age 11, age 14 of memories of her with the boys to show us their bond and like memories that have stuck with her, and none of them have stuck with me. The writing is super consistent the entire book in the sense that you cannot differentiate whether you are in present time or you're in 11-year-old Belly's head. You don't know. It reads the same the entire fucking time. And when you stop, because I do stop reading mid-chapter, I'm a little bit crazy like that if you hadn't realized yet, and I would return to the book to continue reading, I wouldn't know where I was timeline-wise. There were no indicators. It was a little bit confusing to me. A little bit much, actually. I don't know what I'm saying is happening right now or 4 years ago. I didn't notice right away that their family had more money than ours. The beach house wasn't some fancy kind of place. It was a real honest-to-God beach house. I've never heard that before in my life. I'm so sorry. Real honest-to-God beach house? What is that? I've never seen one of those. There's a flashback that reads, he and... This is 15% in, mind you. He and my brother, Steven, were a team. Do you have another brother, perchance? We've read about your brother for the past 15%. He and my brother, Steven. Do you think I'm dumb? Do you think I just forgot? Because I didn't, bitch. I think what annoyed me most about the book were the entire flashback scenes and also just Belly herself in this book is unbearable. Arguably, if you don't know, this is a love triangle. It's between her and the two brothers, right? She kind of wants to fuck them both, and she does. At least in the show, not in the books, from what I've heard. There's no explicit scenes in the books. They changed that for the show. I mean, they're not explicit, but it's just like, you know, more than in the books. What also bothers me about the show is that there is no level of realism in the sense that no one is just saying things straight up to her face. Like, somebody just needs to sit Belly down and have an honest-to-God conversation with her in the show, right? And in the books, she's just super annoying. I feel like she didn't come across that way in the show necessarily as like whiny and annoying because there were a lot of background things that they cut and kind of added in the show instead of those in the book to flesh it out more, which worked well in the show and is better. The show is much better, guys. Don't waste your time on this book. We have like talks about her dad trying or making an effort to make his apartment comfortable because, as I mentioned earlier, her parents are divorced and he's living in an apartment. And so she's like, he gets a piano for me, but it's out of tune. He gets these bed sheets for me, but they're scratchy and I don't like the color. And it's like, no, this is an example, but this is throughout the entire book. She acts like a brat, like a child, which isn't like what I'm trying to tell you. I can't speak. It's like the point I'm trying to get across is that when we were in flashbacks where she was 11 and maybe it was justified to act a certain way because she's 11, she's a child, but now she's 16 and there is a big difference between 11 and 16 if I might say so myself. Well, you weren't able to tell because she acts the same in both scenarios. Like at both ages, it reads the same, the character acts the same. It makes no sense to me why that is the case. It kind of, I don't know, it just made the book really hard to read, in my opinion. The main character really unlikable, and you couldn't connect with anyone, especially not her, because you were like, oh my god, why is she complaining about everything? Why is she calling everyone gay? Why is she slut-shaming every woman out there? She doesn't have any friends. They had to change the show to give her a friend, because she doesn't have, to give her multiple friends. They changed the show so she had multiple friends because she doesn't have any friends besides these two boys, and then her best friend, who she keeps slut-shaming, and she doesn't even like that much. They changed her for the show. That was a good choice. Congratulations. Whoever did that deserves a kiss on the forehead. Yes, guys, you know what's up. I think my dad stopped being my hero when I saw him with one of his PhD students after he and my mother separated. She wasn't even pretty. You know what I mean? It's like, this is probably present time. Maybe. It's like, okay, you're 16 years old. You can rationalize maybe the fact that your dad is the bad in this scenario, not necessarily the underage, not underage, but like significantly younger PhD student, but your dad is to blame. And she's like, oh, she's not even that pretty. It's part of why I longed for summer. It meant I didn't have to stay at my father's sad little apartment. He's trying so hard to make it nice for her, and she's like, I don't want to fucking be there. She also says that her mother goes on like prolonged trips outside of the country. And she goes, she always went alone. She took pictures, but I never asked to look at them, and she never asked me if I wanted to. She does not give a fuck about her mother. In the show, the parents have a much bigger role than in the book, and I think, again, that was a great choice. Love the show. I love bad TV shows. Except the Walter Boys, the Walter Brothers, whatever the fuck that is too bad. That's like, there's a certain line. Anyway. But it wasn't gas, I smelled it too. It was pot. It's pot, I said loudly. Do we have... Once is enough. Once is enough. Jenny. Is Jenny Han still writing books, by the way? Let me look that up. Most recent book. Burn for Burn. What the fuck is that? Okay, Burn for Burn. She also wrote Fire with Fire. And what's the next? Ashes to Ashes. And then she wrote a children's book. Shuck. What the fuck? What is this website? Jenny Han, your website also isn't that great, honestly. Her one true friend in the story is called Taylor, and she is a very different character in the show. In the books, she's very like standoffish, only trying to impress boys, doesn't care about Belly necessarily, slutty, right? And in the show, she's more of a friend. Like, she's just an overall friend. So that's a really nice change, I think, that they added. We get, like, prolonged flashbacks of one time Taylor came to the summer house and then she ended up, like, kissing Jeremiah or wanting to kiss Conrad, and then Belly was so jealous, and then she ended up kissing Jeremiah, and then Belly ended up kissing Jeremiah, but he's only a friend. And then it turns out that Taylor's actually crushing on her brother Steven, as you remember. And she catches them at the beach making out, and she's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? You're making out at the beach? And everyone's like, yeah. And then she's like, I've had a crush on your brother for ages and you didn't know. She's like, no, I didn't know. Maybe because you never asked, because you never ask anyone anything. She only literally thinks about herself. I get that she's like a child at one point, but it's like, I wouldn't be surprised if I was her, that nobody fucks with me like that, if I just acted like her all the time. She does not see any fault in herself. It's so annoying, like, because there's no payoff. Like, she never realizes, you know what I mean? She doesn't grow out of it. So it's like, what's the point? I just feel like there's a difference between an 11-year-old thinking thoughts and a 16-year-old thinking thoughts, right? I don't expect him to be super mature about everything, but her consistently just staying the same is super annoying. There was like no growth in this entire book. The boys suddenly start getting interested in her because she got boobs, basically. I think that there's a lot of talk about boobs in this book, which makes me think that that's the reason they want to kiss her all of a sudden after 16 years. She, of course, has had a crush on Conrad forever, and throughout the book she starts noticing that he's like paying attention to her more and like looking at her more. He's also very grumpy and like has just had a little bit of a change within himself. He quit football, he started drinking, and she thinks that's because he loves her. It's actually because his mom has cancer and is getting a divorce from her husband. She says about her best friend, she was about as deep as an inflatable kiddie pool, which, like, that's one way to talk about your friend. His shoulders were more muscular than Jeremiah's, more weighty, whatever the fuck that means. What the fuck is weighty? That's the first time I've ever heard that word in my life. The other girls were wearing sundresses and little skirts and Uggs, which is a bizarre combination to me as a European. As a German. Who the fuck wears a sundress with Uggs? When I finally figured it out, it was like, comma, aha! Exclamation mark. 40%, and actually I lied, is the first time she tells us, like including us, that her name is Isabel instead of Belly, because everyone's been calling her Belly. And she reveals this to Cameron, also called Cam, who's also in the show. He's the half Japanese character in the book, and in the show he's just a boy. He's just white. You know, we don't have to overdo it. The main character's already Asian. We don't have to overdo it. He is very nice to her and he wants to kiss her. And it's basically her like having her first little summer romance with this Cameron. He's very nice to her. She doesn't really understand why he likes her, and neither do I, because she has nothing to offer anyone. And that's like how she starts noticing that the other boys are like, they're teasing her about it. Conrad is looking at her more when she's with Cameron also, but I don't really give a fuck. So Cameron is also her first proper kiss, and we just skip between her hanging out with him in the present and then flashbacks to the past, and that's it. That's the entire book. And at the end of the book, it all kind of escalates, and it's like, he says to her, are you gonna call me back? She's like, maybe, but she means no, obviously. She finds out at the end of the book that Susanna, the boys' mom, has cancer again. She had cancer before, she has it again. It's pretty aggressive now, and that's why Conrad had been like going through it all summer. Right before she finds out about this, she tells him, I love you, I've always loved you. And he's like, I don't care. And she's like, fuck you, you're the worst. Then they find out about the cancer, and then they kiss, and he's like, I didn't mean it. That's kind of like the entire book. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I feel like telling you about singular things that happen is super unnecessary. This whole Cameron plotline, it was like them hanging out sometimes, doing things together, but it always would lead back to Conrad and him being like, he never does anything that would make me think like, oh, I want to be with him so bad. And she's like, oh, he's always been so great, and like I always wanted to, I don't know why. Like, even with the flashbacks you've shown us, there's no reason. Standing next to him, I felt like Thumbelina, little and precious. She's so tiny. They think we are R-worded or something for us not to notice. I would probably go back and edit that if I were you. He made it so hard not to love him. When he was sweet like this, I remembered why I did. Used to love him, I mean. I remembered everything. I don't even remember what he did, if I'm being honest. I think he just, like, taught her how to dance. The bars in hell. Throughout the entire book, she, like, tries to convince herself that she loves this Cameron guy instead of Conrad, which, now that I'm saying it out loud, they both have C names. What does that mean? It obviously doesn't work. She wants Conrad so bad, and everyone asks her, like, oh, are you over Conrad now? She's like, yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. And at one point, they're like hanging out at the beach, her and Cameron. And she says to him, can you go inside the house and get me something to drink? And he's like, yeah, I'll be right back. And then he leaves her out there for 45 minutes. Cameron. He leaves her out there. And then she goes inside. She's like, why the fuck didn't you get me something to drink? And it turns out he is playing video games with the boys inside. And so she goes in the kitchen. She gets something to drink. And Conrad follows her for some reason. Not Cameron, Conrad. You know, the dark one. And he says to her, I'm not sure what he says to her. And then she said something bad and I don't remember what it was. And then her takeaway from that conversation was, I wondered if this was the way old crushes died, with a whimper slowly and then just like that gone. And it was just like them fighting in the kitchen, but it was like barely even a fight. It was like them arguing back and forth. It's like, that's the tip of the iceberg for you? Okay. It was just like him asking, why are you mad at me? Like, you've been acting so weird towards me. And she's like, do you even care? And that's how the crush died. It's very profound. Not everything has to be profound, but it has to be a little bit profound at least. Like a little bit. Like a tiny bit. Like, you don't have to take yourself so seriously in life generally. But what the fuck is this book? I don't even want to talk about it anymore. Sorry. She wants to go skinny dipping with Cam. He says no. And she goes, wasn't he the one who was supposed to be convincing me? Are you serious? What I really wanted to say was, are you gay? Yeah, God forbid a 16-year-old doesn't want to go skinny dipping. Right by your house. I'm sorry. Stop! But they couldn't hear me. They looked alike. I'd never noticed how alike they looked. But right then, they looked like brothers? I don't understand that entire paragraph. They look alike? She never noticed they look alike even though they're brothers. And right now they look like brothers. So brothers always look alike? I don't know. Susanna was dying and I was kissing Conrad. The end. The book ends on him picking her up. And that's it. He lives like 5 hours away or something. And he comes to pick her up, which is so nice of him, of course. I think this also happens in the show, where they over Christmas like go to the beach house and have sex for the first time. But in the book he just picks her up and that's the end of the book. The show was better in the sense that it gave the characters a purpose and it gave them a story to follow. Again, there are certain scenes that happen that also are in the book where you're like, oh yeah, they're at a party in the show and they were also at the exact same party in the book. Like, they took the best elements of the book, which there weren't many because this book is 250 pages. There was like 2 scenes, honestly. And then they implemented them into the story of the show. But I do think that, or I would say that there are 2 different stories, kind of. At least the first book. I don't know how similar the second and the third book are to the show, but this first book, I would say they are very different stories. And how the characters act, how things play out. The baseline is the same, but it's like 2 different people could have written it and just had the same idea, you know what I mean? On accident. Like me, when I wanted to write Percy Jackson because I didn't know Percy Jackson was a thing, I came up with the idea for Percy Jackson. Basically. The show also has like a debutante ball in it, where there's like a whole thing, and it's like the entire season like kind of revolving around that. The side characters get more of a purpose. They are super irrelevant in the book. The mothers, the brother, he actually is not in the entire book. He's like gone. I think he's on a college tour or something, and in the show he's like there for the entire summer, if I remember correctly, which also just fleshed out the story more and made it more interesting in the show. So I would say go watch the show, don't read the book. And I would also say Jenny Han should not, I mean, she's got enough coins now. She got enough pounds so she can stop writing. Inshallah. That's just my opinion. That's my opinion! So I hope you respect my opinion and let me know your opinion. And let me know if you've written more like romance that's middle grade level, and if they're all like this. Because then again, like I've read young adult where the main characters were 16 and they were acting completely different. I think the book was just so bad because the characters had like, she had like one trope associated with each character, and that's like all she had to base off the story. And then she was like, how am I gonna get these 2 characters together? Okay, I'm gonna give her a boyfriend, but not really, and then that's just gonna work out somehow. Like, it felt like she wasn't writing the story with a clear vision. And then at some point also in the book, Jeremiah like confesses his love to Belly, and she's like, I don't know what the fuck you mean. Like, I don't want you. The fuck? And I think in the show she kisses both of them. So I don't know, actually. Everything is blurring together. That's why I don't want to do this, because it's like it's all the same to me. And I think I just got a mosquito bite on my toe. Do you want to see? I need a donation then. All in all, I would say that this book is pretty bad, and the only excuse that I would accept from you is if you said you read this like at a younger age and that's why you loved it so much. But if you're grown and you read this and you like it, I don't understand why. Because like there's nothing in this book to like. I can read better stories. I can write a better story, arguably. Sorry that this review was so short and such a nothing burger, but again, that was the book. And I just really wanted to see for myself. That was like a selfish review. Like, I just really wanted to see how the book compares to the show, because I do quite enjoy the show. And I am up at 9 a.m. every Wednesday, Germany time, to watch the new episode. And next week I'll be in Rome, and I will be up at 9 a.m. in Rome to watch the show on my holiday, because I want to fucking know. It's the wedding episode. I need to know. Let me know what you guys think about the book and the show. It's not worth your time, the book. Definitely not. Just stay watching the show. And stay happy. Stay healthy. Peace and love. Thank you so much for watching. And hopefully, I'll see you in my next review. Bye bye.